I think that there's a way in which the problems are very similar, right? Like what it means to be a person who's persecuted simply because of your relationship to a racial group or an ethnic group or a gendered group is felt in the same way. To be discriminated against, to feel othered, to be ostracized for something that is simply out of your control, I think causes an emotional reaction that is not dependent upon the place in which you were born or the family in which you were born into. I do, however, think that there are ways in which structural barriers, for example, the laws that exist in the United States, for example, either mitigate or enhance how it is that those incidents are experienced by people. In the U.S. in particular, African Americans, and in particular African American men, face some extreme barriers to accessing education, healthcare, employment. A lot of the quality of life indicators that we all celebrate throughout the world, you will find that the statistics show that minority men generally, but African American men especially, occupy the lowest rungs of those categories. That has everything to do with vestiges of forced enslavement, as well as the laws and practices that were put in place thereafter.
Of all the minority groups in Europe, it is well known that blacks or people of African descent are people who are least employed, who suffer most from unemployment. And this is a very practical way, a very real way in which it affects their lives, because when these people do not have opportunity, are denied opportunities for gainful employment, then it makes it difficult for them to actually make ends meet. And this is one of the ways in which it affects them.
This morning we had a series of presentations from people from different OSCE states. And we're talking about examples where there are only 300 people of African descent living in a country, to one where it's as high as 20% of the population. So as population differs, different patterns occur. But there is a similar experience of racism, of feeling other and apart from the mainstream society across all of those groups.
Whether it's hate crimes, whether there's discrimination in education, whether it's access to leadership positions within the private sector, we're seeing a lot of similarities. There have been studies that have come out in France, for example, Germany, et cetera, that suggest if you have a different last name that's different from the nationality, you find you have difficulties in employment. Even if you look at the United States, persons that are migrants, we're finding are having higher levels of hate crimes and racial profiling, for example. One of the things we've actually tried to focus on is not only identifying those similarities and being able to measure them, but also looking at possible common solutions.